I'm so glad to be here. Today, we are getting to speak with Hanna Olivas, and she's going to be talking to us about something super, super important for you as a parent, for all of us as parents, and that's about raising leaders at home and at work. Um, I think this is such an important conversation because, in the end, we're not raising kids to just be kids or just to do well in school, but for them to be able to lead where they need to lead. So, Hanna, I'm so glad that you're here. I'll let you take it over. And if any questions come up, I will let you know. I'll feed you through the chat. All right.
All right. Thank you for having me today. It's really an honor to be here and speak on this topic. My name is Hanna Libas, and I am the CEO of She Rises Studios and also the co-creator of the She Economy. And so when this was brought to my attention, this particular topic, I found it perfect because She Rises Studios is owned and operated by myself, my daughter, and my son. And it comes from the work done at home as a parent. And so today's conversation is really super deeply personal because leadership isn't just what is done or started in a boardroom. It's actually started in our living rooms, in our kitchens, our car rides, late night talks, the everyday moments that we get with our kids. And it can also start from toddler to teen, adult, and really focusing and watching what we're doing, what we're teaching them, what we are sharing. They are a sponge, no matter the age. So I want to talk about how do we raise leaders at home? What does this look like? And how that becomes the foundation for them to be leaders in life or in the workforce. And leadership also is a very broad term. To me, what that means is that they are doing the best that they can do with the skill set that they have. It doesn't come with pressure. It's not polished. It's not perfect. It's teaching them and raising them to be authentically themselves and lead with their strengths and not have expectations of them to be someone or something that they're absolutely not. And so, why does this topic matter today in 2026? I'm going to give you some reasons. One, we're raising children in a much different time than when I grew up. I will be 52 this year, and so life was a lot different. The world is right now faster, it's louder, it is more demanding. There's this hustle culture, there's more digital, more competitiveness. We are on information overload. And yet, there is also more young adults, children becoming entrepreneurs, more socially aware, more advocacy. They're more emotionally intelligent. They are more connected and way more capable than what I was when I was a young adult. And the truth is, our children are already leaders and they just need the environment to grow into it, to be able to express their strengths, to be able to show who they are, what they do, and what they really want in their life, and how to use that in a leadership format. So, when we raise these leaders at home, we don't just change our family, we change our businesses, our communities, and our economy. And that's a big one for me is the economy because our young men and women are the future. And we have a due diligence. And so leadership, I wholeheartedly believe, starts at home. It starts with the family, and it's as a leadership incubator, so to speak. So I'm going to share a little bit about my own personal life, just to give you some insight that what I'm sharing with you is indeed real. It can be done, and most often should be. And so I work with my oldest daughter, as I mentioned, and my middle son. They are my business partners. And so Um, I have adult children who understand entrepreneurship, who understand leadership. I also have grandchildren who are already learning what leadership looks like in school. I have a teenage daughter who is at home who is growing up in a household watching men and women in business leadership. So it's become a lifestyle and not so much a lesson. And so my home, I call it the leadership incubator because it's how we live. It definitely wasn't planned, but it's what we do. So here's what my home looks like currently. Uh, I always encourage my kids to use their voice, and I encourage them to solve problems. I encourage them to make their own decisions. I encourage them to understand what emotional intelligence is because it matters. And I encourage them to learn how to handle conflict because it does come. I encourage them to fall forward safely, meaning I'm never looking for perfection from them. I'm not holding them to a standard that I want them to be at. I want them to hold themselves accountable and build the standard where they can express their skills, their voice, their leadership. So I don't have high expectations for them to meet. I don't play helicopter mom. I give them responsibility, but I don't give them pressure. So responsibility versus pressure is very different. And when you give someone responsibility and you include them, it takes away the pressure and it gives them the space and the grace to actually learn something new, solve an issue, talk about an issue, make a decision. So, communication. So, when the kids grow up in a home where leadership is modeled authentically, they don't wait for permission to lead. You start seeing them step into this very naturally, but not with pressure. And so, why? Why do I choose to exemplify leadership and run my home like a leadership incubator? It's because I wasn't taught those things. I had to learn them later on in life, and unfortunately, I spent a lot of my adult years catching up on what true leadership looks like, especially when I opened up She Rises Studios. There is a form of leadership that is required in business. It's not perfection, but definitely leadership, and it comes with wins and learns. And so leadership is a very broad term that I see utilized in the coaching space, in the parenting space, in school and community. But there's also another lens to leadership. And so I'm going to pivot a little bit into this and tell you what I mean. So I, over the course of the last 90 days, launched what I call the she economy. It's the she and the he, women's economic system, and the men who champion us. And our young men and women are joining this rapidly because we offer how to teach children, young adults, men and women to lead into a new economic system and give them economic power. And why do we do this? Because as I mentioned earlier, they are the future. And so if we teach children, young adults, teenagers, college age, all the way up to season 2 and season 3, you will see that the more leaders that emerge, the better the economy gets. And so if we teach them leadership through economic power, through health, through mental health, all of the different aspects, like really helping them understand they can thrive and they can truly step into the leadership skills that they were meant to hone in and launch and live. And so, how do these things help right now with the economy? Lots of ways. We're seeing children at a rapid pace and young adults head into entrepreneurship younger every single day. They want to learn about money. They want to learn about the responsibility. They want to communicate. They have visions. They have boundaries. They have all the same things that we do as adults and parents. They also have collaboration. They have creativity at rapid speeds. And so when they utilize this as young adults into adulthood, these adults who contribute to this come in with confidence, more creativity, and it becomes an economic empowerment, which is something that we all need to see. Because raising kids in a home of leadership is not free, right? There is some cost. Leadership can come into helping our children step into sports. They want to play sports. They want to be the best at the sport that they choose. But those things cost money. So, with leadership, we also need economic power, and we need to be talking to our young adults about what economic power is, what money is, what responsibility is, what communication is, and having it become full circle so that they understand this. So if we have these types of open conversations on a regular basis, you are literally contributing to your future economic system and your future leaders for the world. And some of these young women and men may not step into a formal leadership position, an example, a politician, but they could be the future of the next bill that comes to place, or reorganizing what the healthcare system looks like, or science, or whatever it is. But if we give them the space and grace to grow and show them that leadership comes with wins and it comes with learns, but they're never failing. Leadership requires support, and that support starts in the home every single day, even how we talk to them. They watch us, they listen, they learn, they are a sponge, and they are under our roof. And so, whatever you are portraying out, they're watching this, they're picking it up. So you want to be the person who has influence for good and impact for good, because that young man or young woman will take that and hone in on it, and then they will start to show their skill set and leadership in those things. So we don't want to stifle the growth and the voices. We actually want to push it and propel it forward. So maybe your child doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't think my kids ever said, you know what, today's the day I'm going to be an entrepreneur. But it was something that they grew up watching. And so now they are. So when children join something that you have been building, they become a part of your legacy. So that means long after you and I are gone, the leadership skills that we taught them, now they're continuing the legacy that you were building with them all along. And it's really cool to watch in real time. So raising leaders at home, raising them at work, raising them in the entrepreneurial space is one, an honor and a privilege. Two, it's needed. I do want to talk to you a little bit about what raising a leader at work looks like. Again, from personal perspective and trials and tribulations. So when I brought my son and daughter into She Rises Studios, we formed it as a true partnership. I wanted them to have equal in everything, equal in say, equal communication, and the list goes on and on. So, this is where the story really came to fruition and how I can sit here today and talk to you about it. We don't just raise leaders, we get to work with them. So, every single day, I get to work with my son and my daughter. They're my business partners. They're a part of She Rises Studios. They're a part of the She economy. They're a part of a movement that I am building in real time. And that is generational leadership. And it is very powerful. They lead with vision. I lead with vision. They lead with innovation. I lead with innovation. Together, between the three of us, we bring wisdom, we bring new perspectives, we bring and build a foundation that can last for lifetimes. And they are building the future in real time. And it's really amazing to watch your children grow and soar. So, this type of a model of leadership is what the world needs to see more and more. Families building together, learning together, asking questions. Communication is a key factor of leadership. When you ask someone a question, give them the space to answer. When you ask someone for their opinion, allow them to give it to you. We have a deep-rooted issue with communication. We like to overtalk. We like to interrupt. And so when we are talking about raising our children as leaders at home, we have to give them that space. We have to give them the understanding. And we can't expect them to know what we know. We're seasoned, we're older. So again, we have a responsibility. I remember there was a moment when I realized I wasn't just raising kids. And I realized that I was actually raising men and women who were doing and are doing some extraordinary things for the betterment of the world. And that did not come from them learning something on YouTube. That came from real home fundamentals and foundations. And I laugh sometimes because often I'm like, wow, their voices are so powerful that even if I wanted to tell them, quiet down, calm down, I wouldn't even be able to. So, raising a leader, raising a child at home, and having them step into leadership skills is opening their eyes and letting them see things for what they really are. A lot of times, we as parents want to protect them, we want to keep them sheltered, but the more we shelter them, the less they learn, the less they understand, and the more we keep the talent within them compressed. They can't expand because we're constantly trying to hover. And so when we opened up She Rises Studios, it wasn't like some big milestone that happened. It wasn't during a business win that I saw my children turning into these incredible leaders. It was actually during a moment of overwhelm. I was juggling motherhood, entrepreneurship, my health, the weight of building something bigger than myself, and my children saying, "Mom, how can we help? We've got you. What can we do?" And it's such a fresh perspective because they're younger and smarter. They're tech savvy, they're eager to learn, and that's all a part of leadership. So I took that and said, yes, I want your help. I want you to be a part of everything that we're doing. And that was the moment I understood I wasn't raising a follower. I wasn't raising someone to just do what they're told, but I was actually raising partners, thinkers, and raising the next generation of leaders who will one day and do now stand beside me and never behind me. And so, as a parent, that is a very beautiful feeling. And it's also incredible to watch in real time. And today, we are currently operating several different divisions under the She Rises Studios umbrella. And with the help of their leadership, we now have a team of 27 plus. We are global, and it's very exciting to see their strengths. And we don't hone in on the weaknesses. The weaknesses that are there are things that they can work on in their time, but it's not something that we utilize as leverage saying you need to better this or you need to better that. We hone in on what they're already good at and we bring it up even higher. We amplify it. And that's what real leadership is we don't point out all the flaws, all the wrongs. We don't silence them, but we actually encourage them to reach out, to be loud, to be bold, to take risks. That's what leadership is. It's not polished and it's definitely not perfection. In fact, when you come off as a leader who is perfect, it becomes a little intimidating, and people oftentimes won't work with you because they think they have to have it all together. And the fact is, no one does. So, I want to go over some pillars with you, three to be exact, of raising leaders at home. My first pillar is teach children at every age to speak up, express themselves, and ask questions. So, your voice, which is what I talked about earlier, pillar one is the voice of a child, a young woman, a young man. They all have one. Let them use it. Teach them how to communicate, guide them, ask questions, and don't be uncomfortable when they give you the answer. Number two, responsibility. Give them real responsibilities that matter and not just chores. There's a difference between a responsibility and a chore. And I think that if we gave our children more responsibility, it guides them into that honing in on what they're good at, their strengths. It gives them, they know that they have options and that they're not just doing a chore to make a quick 20 bucks. Pillar three, emotional intelligence, and this is a big one. Help them understand their feelings, communicate with them, and navigate conflict. Don't devalue their feelings. Don't ever tell a child, don't cry. Emotional intelligence is such an important factor in leadership. When we're telling our children, be quiet, don't cry, you're not allowing them to experience and feel what they really need to in order to step into leadership. And it's a real human piece. If you provide them with a place for them to be able to utilize their voice, give them the responsibility, and trust me, children can be very responsible and also resilient, and you give them the space for emotional intelligence, you will see that these pillars create children who grow into extraordinary adults who lead with confidence and compassion. The humility is there. The realistic things are there. They're not just talking the talk, but they're actually walking the walk, and that's important. And I want to give you three pillars for leaders at work because they are a little different. Number one, collaboration. Leadership is not about control, it's about partnership. So when you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, a lot does not get done because some people require their opinions to be validated and they have to be the end all be all. And when you're raising leaders at work, you have to collaborate. There has to be reciprocity. Number two is ownership. Give people ownership of outcomes, not just tasks. We can task people all day long, but if you give them ownership, they take pride in that. They want to lead it. They want to show you their strengths. They want to show you they can do it. But when you're just running off tasks, it becomes mundane and you lose them. Number three at work, development. Leaders are not born. They are absolutely developed through opportunity, through mentorship and trust. This amplifies the team. This amplifies your children. This amplifies your future leaders. So I want to ask you some questions, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer, but how many of you are raising children or teens currently right now? And how many of you want your children to grow into leaders, not followers? And what leadership skill do you want your child or teen to develop the most? So I'm going to repeat these. How many of you are raising children or teens right now? And how many of you want your children to grow into leaders, not followers? And what leadership skill do you want your child or teen to develop most? Now, depending upon your answers, I'm going to give you a little framework. I call it LEAD, and it's an acronym. So, number one, listen. Easy, right? Children become leaders when they feel heard. E is for empower. Give them tools, give them choices and opportunities. Align. Align your words with your actions. Kids learn by watching. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. Mean what you say what you mean. accountability. Develop, invest in their growth consistently and not occasionally. Kids want to be able to depend on you. They want to understand you and they want to see the consistency at all times. It provides safety. It gives them an understanding of what accountability looks like. It helps so much. And this framework helps from toddler, teen, young adult, and teens. So this isn't just something that's done at home. This is something that can be done in the workplace. It can be done in college. It can be done in elementary school. It can be done anywhere that you choose it to be. It's so important now more than ever with the landscape of business, our future, that we have to make sure that we are listening, empowering, aligning, and developing every single day. Because if we don't, we are going to raise a group of men and women who will be confused at what leadership and legacy really look like. And so I want you to take a step back, and I will answer the questions in the chat, but I want you to think about this. You're not raising children. You really are raising leaders. You are raising entrepreneurs. You are raising thinkers. You are raising the next generation of world changers. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a change. Your home is your first leadership lab. Your family is your first team. And your children are your first legacy. And that matters. And when you are raising leaders at home, we are raising these young men and women to change the world. And that is exciting beyond measure and very powerful and very important. And we all have a due diligence to do so. So, how does a parent support the strong-willed child without feeling stressed? I'm going to go straight back to and say that they're asking to be heard. Strong-willed is a good thing. That means that they're going to stand up for what they believe in, for what they feel. And so it requires emotional intelligence. It requires to be able to listen and not often always answer. Have you ever noticed when you want to vent and you're not looking for an answer, you're not looking for a solution, you're looking for a safe space to really share your true feelings. And once that person has finished venting, that's when you say, "May I offer perspective? Can we talk about this?" But they have to feel the safe space to do so. They have to know that it's okay, that whatever they say may upset you, but that it doesn't compromise the love you feel for them. It doesn't compromise how you see them. In fact, it helps you understand and find an outcome, because teenagers or strong-willed children are the ones that you're going to see really step into full-on leadership. I always say, I have a strong-willed teenager, and I always tell her, man, you're either going to be a really great attorney, litigator, or you're going to end up somewhere in a political space because of her voice, her strength. So you point out that strong-willed part as a strength to you so that you don't lose patience or your mind, and to them, but you teach them in that space, in your home or wherever this is happening, and let them know, like, this is safe. I understand. And you can't let it stress you, because what they're explaining to you and what they're sharing to you is what they really feel. And they just want you to know that. And sometimes it doesn't require you to have an answer. It's more of a listening ear. But communication and leadership is one of the biggest. And communication requires both listening and talking, right? And sometimes one more than the other, and no judgment zone. Kids don't want to be judged, and they don't want to know or think or believe that they are stressing you out. because then they hold back because then they want to protect you. So look at your strong-willed child as someone who has a voice, and you're going to help them utilize that voice in the best communicative way possible. So I think my time is up, and I do want to say thank you very much for allowing me to share my perspective and insight. Um, my name is Hanna Olivas, and it was my honor to be here today.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I learned a lot. It was such a great session. We had people also watching you live via the website. And if any other questions come up, we'll definitely, let you know. But thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure getting to connect with you, getting to hear your story, and just, thinking about it. I think it brought chills to me, just like thinking about we're not raising kids, we are raising um leaders, right? So that was really amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your day.
You